Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tips and Tricks to Live a Happier, Healthier, and More Successful Life. I'm so thankful that you could join me again today. And before we even get into anything, let's just start where we know we're going to start, which is things that we are grateful for from yesterday or this morning, anything that's happened up until the point when you're watching this video. And just a quick reminder that we're not doing this grateful exercise just because we're trying to hope to manifest or create, but because in life we have either problem-oriented or solution-oriented people, and we want solution-oriented people. We don't want to be the person or have people around us that highlight the problems. We want the people around us, and we want to be the people that highlight the solutions. So for being grateful and appreciating things in our life, it lets us see that no matter what's going on, something good can come from our life. Not to mention, right now, I have this brace on my knee. I hurt myself playing in a game, and it stinks, and it's not the best situation, can't move very well. But with that being said, I am still grateful that my team won. I am grateful that I had a great time playing in my game, even though I hurt my leg. So right now I can't walk. It stinks to work, but guess what? I'm still grateful that we won. I'm still grateful I was safe, and I'm still grateful that I hurt myself doing something that I love, which is, again, a weird way to think about it, but I don't look at it as a problem. I'm looking at it from a solution standpoint. Get a brace, go to work, do my job. So when we do these things, it's more about finding in our life that things are always okay and are better than we could ever really ever imagine. So for me, my three things were, number one, I found out I'm making some money on Facebook, which is pretty cool. I hope I get to look back on this and see that I'm making money from all across all platforms. But for right now, that's pretty cool. I can't complain. Social media made $30 yesterday. I know it's not a lot of money, but hey, it's something that I didn't have before. Number two was seeing one of the players I trained really start to develop as a pitcher and a hitter. Really awesome. I really take a lot from that when we're working with these players. Because again, I get a lot of stuff on my baseball content where people try to think that this is a money grab. This has nothing to do about money. If my players are not succeeding and getting better, I feel like I've done something wrong, and I don't want that feeling. So when I get a chance to see my players really grasping and applying the information, it really is so awesome. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm actually just grateful overall for all the players that I have the opportunity to train. And then my last thing to be grateful for was having a great movie night for Halloween time with my kids and just laying on the couch watching Goosebumps, which I guess is kind of scary, but not scary, but whatever. So I'm really grateful for those things. So take some time while I start talking, write down some of the things that you're grateful for. And remember, this practice is about looking for the good, looking for the solutions, and staying focused on those things. So our video today is going to be focused around imagination creates reality. So to start, a lot of my things that I pull from are from people that are from yesteryear, and I will bring up their names and some of their time frames. And one of the people that I really like to listen to, and I highly recommend that you listen to it, which we've already recommended before, is Neville Goddard. Now today you do have to sift and sort through some of this stuff because there's so much AI garbage, which even though the message is pure enough, it's just not Neville. And Neville's message was very specific and unique, and when it's brought out from him, it just hits differently. So I would highly recommend that. And we're going to go into imagination creates reality. So let's start off with this. What if I told you guys basically that everything that happens in your life, every success and every failure actually begins in your imagination? What if we're living in a world where everything that happens must be first thought of? But wait, it is. We live in this world. Nothing exists that wasn't first thought of. The clothes that I'm wearing, somebody had to think to create this exact design. I had to think that I wanted to buy it. Those things had happened. Someone had to think that this desk needed to be made, and I had to think that it had to be placed exactly in here. I set up this office as a studio, specifically putting lighting in this to help the lighting of my videos because of a thought process. None of this existed. This room was a makeshift bedroom before I got here with very dim lighting, but I made these adjustments because this is what I wanted it to look like. And if I didn't think it would look this way, guess what? It wouldn't look this way. And when the next person comes in here after I move out of this house, they might think it should not look this way, and they'll make it look however they think. Imagination creates reality. At one point, we had two bases of land that were separated by water, and someone had this idea. We need to get from here over there. But the boat takes too long. Maybe there weren't boats yet. I don't know. There were probably boats by the time the bridge was built. But it takes too long. We need a more efficient way that we could drive there, because if I do take my boat, I can't start walking on this other land. I need to be able to drive. So what happens? we have a bridge built. And now the bridge was like, hey, a bunch of people just started putting steel and cement together. There was a thought process, a blueprint, which took someone's thoughts out of their brain of how this was going to work, put it on paper, and now collectively, a group of people were able to take this information and make that imagination reality. Remember, what is come down to with our goal setting, like we talked last time, realistic is only something that is held up by your ability to have faith and belief in it. So we need to start recognizing that our imagination is way more powerful than we could have ever imagined. We've been lied to. You've been lied to, being told this idea that get your head out of the clouds and things don't work that way. Everything works a certain way. As long as you are doing something that's not going to cause harm to yourself or anyone else, you have to realize that as long as you do not hold the right faith and belief on it, it won't happen. But once you're able to shift that faith and belief, imagination creates reality. Another one of the important things is Neville Goddard was a firm believer that Jesus Christ was actually your own human imagination. Some of the things that Neville touches on was the fact that he doesn't really believe that the Bible was cyclical history. It was more of a self-help guide explaining to you how, if you live in certain states, by changing your thought process, by using your imagination, you could uplift yourself and you could transform into new states and then live that. So all it was an account of different states, live different lives, and here's how you could change your state from this state to that state to move forward. I really appreciate this way of thinking. And again, I'm sure there's going to be some challenges on this and some different ways of thinking, but I'm here to tell you that I truly believe that he was onto something, and we're going to dive into that a little bit today. So with that being said, some of the ideas are, and this also comes from something called the Kabbalion. If you have not read that yet, it's worth the read, written by the three initiates. And that is that your whole world is you pushed out from the inside. So everything that you think about in your world, and we've touched on this too, everything you think about is basically in line with where your life is right now. So if where we think about is where our life is, then we have to start to change it. Think about right now a time in your life where something challenging arose and you thought it was so challenging that you were never going to overcome that hurdle. And guess what? It was pushed to the wayside and you never overcame that hurdle. But think about a time where a hurdle came about and you're like, you know what? Maybe if I try this, this, and this, I can get past it. And all of a sudden, wow, you're in a new area. You went and started your own business. You're in a new relationship. You're in a position where because you thought you can get past it, you were able to get past it. Your imagination is your key and your connection to all manifestation, creation, and life. And the reason why I say that, I know that's a weird word to use. We are always manifesting. There is not a point in time where manifestation is not happening. You are always constantly and consistently. That is how life continues to unfold. It unfolds through manifestations, and we are either being the creators or we are being part of somebody else's creation. And we have to realize that in 2025, it is our job to take responsibility of the creation in our lives and move forward in a direction that allows us to do that. Remember, if you're a cop, it's because you thought to be a cop. If you are a construction worker, it's because you thought that's what you wanted to do. I have friends that were cops and then didn't want to be cops and became baseball coaches and then didn't want to become baseball coaches and then became teachers. But all that changed was the way they thought about what was happening. At first, hey, this is great. I'll get my pension and I'll be able to retire in 20 years. And it's like, hey, this sucks. I don't like this. This isn't fun. Let me jump into this world. Hey, this world's good, but the work output is not bringing back the money that I wanted. So let me try this. And then so the idea is your imagination is going to move you through the world. That is going to create and manifest different areas. And as we just learned, manifestation is an ongoing process that continues whether you are here or not. The only way to change your world is to change your conception of yourself. Again, an imagination or imaginatory act. Once you are able to change the way that you perceive yourself and see yourself, you're able to change your outside world. Think of the world as a reflection. Everything you see, if you think the world is doom or gloom, well, you need to evaluate yourself. What do you believe is doom and gloom inside you? Because once you're able to realize that, hey, the world reflects who you are. Now, yes, are bad things and good things going to be going on? Of course they are. Because you need contrast. How would you know what's bad if you never know what's good? How would you know that you want more money if you've never had not enough? How would you know that you want less? Well, I wouldn't say that. How would you know you want more love unless you've had in a situation that you didn't have enough of it? So we always create contrast to know, and that contrast allows us to see what is right and wrong. The problem is the news, the world, everything wants to feed you all the nonsense and all the BS and all the bad things that are happening. But if you actually take some time, and there are some very few channels which I can't recall off the top of my head, that do actually look at the good things. Try to focus yourself on the good things instead of waking up to the news and filling your imagination and your mind and your thoughts with all the nonsense that's going on. Go and look at nature and appreciate how beautiful it is. Go appreciate how things are working out in the world. Go and look at how somebody saved somebody, helped somebody, did something to impact someone's life in a positive manner. And try to focus on those things and see that those things are actually something that's really, really good. Another important part is that we have, a conscious thinking mind and a subconscious mind. So the ways that we can kind of prove this of conscious versus subconscious is right now, if you were, or I was asking you, hey, can you go get me a water out of the fridge? Consciously, you are thinking, hey, I'm going to walk over to the fridge and I'm going to go get that water for Roger. Subconsciously, what you're not thinking about is how you're going to walk. You're not thinking left foot, right foot, swing my arms, keep my head straight. You're not thinking any of that. Subconsciously, your heart is taking care of its beats. It's not something you have to consciously think about. These things are all happening on a subconscious level. You don't think about how you're going to digest. You just do it. So there are processes that don't require your conscious thought that are happening, that are very intricate, that are not your responsibility. So we do have a subconscious and a conscious mind, and our job is through the use of imagination and the use of feeling to do this. Remember, we talked about it in our last video. Feeling is how we impact the subconscious mind. Feeling is imaginatory. When you are watching a movie and you jump, it's not because you're actually scared. It's because there was a scare response that elicited inside you based off of your imagination saying, oh my God, that's scary. So we have to remember that we are trying to impact our subconscious mind, which is why there are times to do it. We have different brain waves, not going to get too much into it, but there's theta, and that is the brain waves that allows us to be the most susceptible. Fun fact, theta brain waves are the brain waves that young children from the last trimester in mommy's belly all the way up until the age of 7, which is why the old Buddhist saying is, you give me the child till 7 and I'll show you the man, is because that is our time that we have the most ability to download because we are consistently running in theta brainwaves. Now we can access those theta brainwaves as humans and have greater access to our emotions, our feelings, and our imagination and our subconscious, but that comes through practice and it comes through breathing rituals and relaxation and bringing ourselves down where we become less aware of the body, and when we get there, we can start to visualize. Now, again, as you start to use your imagination, it's important to realize that imagination is a very funky thing, right? Like if I said, hey, right now, imagine you're holding a baseball. Imagine you're holding a golf ball. Imagine holding a softball. Imagine holding a basketball. As you can see, my hand's changing. I'm not holding anything. I'm just using my imagination. Now, if I've never seen a baseball before, I wouldn't know what it would look like. At this point, there's not many things that I could think of that I wouldn't know. But if you brought up a shape or an object that I don't know, I couldn't hold it up because I couldn't recall. And if I did, I would have to make up whatever I thought it would based off of the sound of it. So our imagination is realistic to us. And now it's important to realize some people see in pictures, some people see in words, some people see in blackness. But again, like when I think of a baseball, I don't actually see the baseball, but I know the baseball is white. I know it has red stitches. I know about how big it is. And again, that's all from the use of my imagination. So we have to realize this imagination that we have actually plays a very important role in everything that we do. Now, through our imagination, we can assume to be the person that we want to be. We can assume that, and not in the way of walking around and going above our means and doing things of that nature, but we could start to develop who this person would be. How would this person respond when this happens? How would this person respond when this happens? And it's more about changing the initial responses or reactions that we have to certain things. When we can become aware of those responses or reactions, that's where the change has to start. So it's not a matter of, oh, I'm a billionaire and walk out and try and buy a Lamborghini. Well, clearly it's not happening right now, red hot moment. It doesn't mean it's never going to happen, but you have to still think, how would that person respond to that? Even if they didn't have the opportunity right now, I'm not going to go anywhere right now. I'm like, hey, like that'll be mine. Start to build out my yellow one, black interior, and you start going through what it'd be like, and just take some test runs in your brain. You can actually go to the store and probably test drive it if you really wanted to. So these things are really important as we're starting to go through this and we're trying to live healthier and happier lives. We have to be able to realize that if we do not can take control of our thoughts, that's what TV is. Think about what TV is. It's called programming. They're trying to program the way that you think, because you think the hierarchs and all this. I'm not trying to get into conspiracy theories, but if you don't think for 1 second that marketing is completely based around drawing your conscious attention into something and having you believe something that you may not believe, I mean, that's what it's all about, folks. So we have to take responsibility for our own imagination. We have to drown out some of the noise, get rid of some of the social media, stay focused on who we truly want to believe. Eliminate the people that are telling you that you can't be that, because all they're bringing up are their own insecurities and their own shortcomings and trying to throw it on you, and that's not fair to you. So your imagination is really important. And if we do believe Neville Goddard, it is Jesus Christ in you. So if we're going to start to believe these things, that's where we have to start looking and where we have to start moving. So we get ourselves nice and relaxed, slow our breathing down, focus on the breathing, take away from the body, and then from that position, let's start thinking about the things that we want. Now, in the beginning, you may fall asleep, and that's okay if you fall asleep while you're doing it. This is practice. You don't work out one day and be like, where are my muscles? I worked out today. You do this for months, and then you start to see results. And then you do it for more months, you start to see more results. And then all of a sudden, now it becomes a lifestyle, and it becomes part of who you are. And now it's just the way that you look. So you have to realize that the mind is a muscle, just like these muscles, that need consistent effort and working it out to get the results that you're looking for. Anytime that something comes up in your life that works out a way that you don't like, remember, we are solution-oriented, looking for gratitude. Just play out in your mind how you want the situation to go next time, how you would have liked that situation to work out that time, and things that you can do in the future to make sure that if this ever comes up again, you're able to respond in a new way that will be from the new person that will bring you the new results. If you go look at some of the stories that Neville Goddard talks about, he talks about a lot of interesting things. And you know what? If you want a fun Neville Goddard exercise, one of the ones he did is just imagine yourself every night before you go to sleep, every single night, just imagine yourself as you're drifting off to sleep, climbing a ladder. It's a ladder that goes up and up and up and up. And his theory is that if you do this for a week, you will find a reason why you have to walk on a ladder. So I'm going to leave it with that for today. Let's all try this practice, and let's leave in the comments below how this actually worked out for us if we had a circumstance where we had to climb a ladder, and we are going to sit there and we're going to think over and over again about climbing that ladder as we're drifting off to sleep and see if it actually happens. And if it does, I think that'll give us a good idea that imagination in some way creates or at least influences reality. So our last thing is, just dare to believe in yourself, dare to believe in your imagination, have some fun playing with your imagination. And as far as I can help you guys out, if you do these exercises, you will start to see the changes that you were looking for in your life. And that's what the goal of this channel is, to live happier, healthier, and more successful lives. I think that we should want that for everybody. I know I want that for everybody, including myself and my family. Everybody. So that being said, let me know how it goes. Like, subscribe, and comment. I really appreciate you guys watching. And until I see you next time, just be well.